Okay?
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, here we go. Just keep cooking cookies.
What are they doing?
All right, we are officially back. Are we officially back?
We're on.
Are you going to turn that frown upside down? Alice Shattuck has been lambasting me. Those of you on Patreon got a good look into the real Alice Shattuck.
Morgan says, see, this is what happens when you stop drinking and eating carbs. In fact, I am drinking right now, Morgan.
Yeah, now you're seeing what I deal with. This is why sometimes we cut it down a little bit. Alice has been lashing out at me already today, which I don't mind because she's kind of cute when she does it.
And yesterday, I was very mean to you.
Oh, yesterday. One for the ages. One for the ages. Jesus. You're lucky I like crazy Alice.
We're perfect for each other.
So, yeah, we do have a cocktail. I have a cocktail here now, Morgan. So does Alice. And we had some friends over last night. Are you saying that I gave those edibles away?
Yeah.
I did, definitely.
Yes. Well, the person that you gave them to is a listener of the show,
Okay.
so you can double check.
So let me know. Let me know. There have been some foggy nights, so I'm not sure. So it's very interesting today on your Sunday programs. First of all, there is much panicking about the Democrats losing their mojo again. It's gone. Biden has lost his lift.
Yeah, Democrats are pulling funding from a bunch of races, too, that they don't think are winnable for them.
And then what they're doing is they go right from there into how bad Herschel Walker is. And trying to make segments out of that. And all of the shows, they did essentially the same thing.
Well, I think that's I think Georgia really, a lot of their hopes hinge on Georgia. What are we doing in here right now? Why right now? Can you just watch something on TV for like 1 hour?
You guys have cookies. You have everything you need in the world. Okay.
1 hour. We can do it later.
Yeah, okay? A little respect for the sanctity of the podcast when we're recording would be okay. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, just a different time.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
We just asked for 1 hour. We just don't ask for a lot of time.
Why don't we just bring the bottle up here? So they're doing a lot of that stuff, trying to make it out of the Herschel Walker stuff.
Well, I think
called
Georgia,
the race.
I know you've called it. I think Georgia is really one of their last best hopes to maintain control of the Senate here, because I mean I know that like all the ratings people have Georgia as being and Pennsylvania as being pretty safe for them right now, but I just I don't see Pennsylvania working out for them. It does not seem to me like.
No, and Georgia has. There would be a runoff in a month if
nobody hits 50.
Right, but I think that Walker is going to trounce him by a handful of votes.
Yeah, I mean, so because it's tough for them. They need to win. They need to essentially run the board to maintain control here, and I just, some of these races, even though the polls are saying that Fetterman's up, I just can't imagine that. And like I said before, I don't think that this Herschel Walker stuff is going to hurt him.
Is there anybody else who'd like to stop in?
Just 1 hour. Just 1 hour.
Ooh.
It's been a day.
Has it?
Well, yes, you didn't have the kids today, so you just went out drinking, and you didn't.
That is a
bold-faced
lie, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Newburyport with friends, and I drank coffee. Okay, that is what I drank. This is my first sip of anything today, Alice. My first sip of anything. Okay, we could go into the granular detail about other people's first sips.
What? While I was doing dishes, I had a beer. Oh, sue me.
Alice, was there or was there not a beer in our bed this morning at the point?
That's from last night.
That's much more healthy. That's much more.
I left that
Welcome to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, ladies and gentlemen. I think that the Republicans just simply are not answering pollsters, and between not answering and calling a lot of phone numbers, I
think polling is less accurate than ever, and I think that because technology gets better and people have a tendency to think that like the data geeks are really smart, which we are obviously, but then people tend to forget the limitations of polling, which is that you're calling a bunch of people and asking them a question, and it's not necessarily a one-to-one map with what happens on election day. And it's dependent on you having a random sample. Fewer people answer weird phone calls than ever. Polling is really harder and worse than ever. Like I literally know not one person who answers calls from pollsters.
Yeah.
Except for me, because I'm always interested to see what they ask, just out of curiosity.
To the QAnon press, as a matter of fact, that is true.
But I don't know like a single normal human being who answers calls from pollsters. Do you?
Well, no, because I mean, if you answer a call, I've done it like back when we had a dog in the fight in Massachusetts, but you could be on there for 18 minutes sometimes. It's a big time suck answering pollsters. Also, people have been like hurt by push polls. People can feel themselves being harassed sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's...
Well, and people are worried about their anonymity too, right? Especially when people are calling a cell phone, which is like, that's your number. You don't just change that. You have your cell phone number forever, usually. And what?
I'm going to stand up for the patrons.
Okay.
As far as kids barging in here and there, and some people say that they enjoy it or whatever, these people are paying for this. They deserve better. Thank you. All right, so, and, there was one peculiar thing I thought.
I was in the middle of talking.
Okay.
I was like mid-sentence. I was saying that fewer people answer these calls than ever. And at the same time, we've like imbued polling with this pseudoscientific reality where people like think that Nate Silver or, whoever, Politico or somebody can like predict the future, and it just isn't possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like what they're doing is taking averages of polls, and all these polls, like every single poll, in order to get at a random sample, and this is where the mess really happens, right? Is that they're all working off of a turnout model, right? So they're all trying to figure out who they think is going to turn out on election day and poll a demographic that looks like that, like the right number of older people, younger people, black people, white people, whatever. And like that's really where they inject a lot of their own internal biases. But yeah, like Morgan's saying in the chat, people are afraid to tell the truth, right? And like I was starting to say when I was interrupted about the kids is that people are worried about their anonymity and about people coming after them and people finding out what they believe because the left and the media has gone so hard after Trump supporters and anybody that they perceive to be like an insurrectionist or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like you're going to get yelled at in the media. It's like they're going to come and take money out of your bank account. That was like the whole PayPal thing this week, is that PayPal reserves the right if you go online and lie or something, or they think lie. If you go online and say stuff that they don't like about climate change or trans people or COVID shots or whatever, if you go online and say stuff, or if you whatever, then they reserve the right to go and take $2,500 out of your PayPal accounts. And I've heard people say that even after you disconnect your PayPal from your bank account, it's not truly disconnected. Like if you've had a PayPal and it's been connected to your bank account,
how did you get onto this?
What do you mean?
The PayPal thing. I missed the part where you segued. I was actually
saying,
reading a text by Jon Stewart about me not listening during that part, and I missed how you got to this. Can you rewind? Can you go back a little bit?
Sure. What I was saying is that people are more afraid than ever that people will find out their real opinions because the left is going so hard after everybody who has a different opinion. And like this PayPal stuff just epitomizes it. Like when you're freezing people's bank accounts and taking people's money, like you're just straight up taking money for people that you don't like. Like we've now empowered a corporation, a big powerful corporation, to just come and take your money if they don't like your opinions on stuff.
Well, not only that, no, I'm not scrolling on my phone. I'm just looking down. My phone is, it's over here, but I'm not scrolling on my phone. I've been looking down at the text. But not only that, but the pursuit of people who have been deemed to go on afoul of accepted dialogue is crazy. They went after Elon Musk. They went after. Now they're going after Kanye. Kanye, because he says something different than a lot of other rappers now. He has to be chased down now and stopped and silenced and called.
Oh yeah, it's nonstop. He's a white
crazy.
supremacist. He's mentally ill.
Right.
He's unhinged. He's dangerous. He's all this stuff. It's like out of. He's off Twitter now. You saw that he's been taken off Twitter?
No.
For saying stuff about the Jews, I guess.
I thought that was Instagram that he was.
No,
with
he
P.
had
Diddy
some
or
big
something.
thread.
He was talking.
He
about
had some big thread he started to say about Jewish people.
I think he's probably pro-Jewish person. At least one Jewish person.
It sounded conspiracy-ish. I don't know, but anyway, in any case, he's now been. But do we think it's really about that, or because there's plenty of pro-Palestinian people who say crazy stuff about Jews on Twitter all the time and don't get banned? It's because he went on Tucker Carlson.
Ayatollah's on Twitter. Yeah. It's because he went on Tucker, exactly. And people, by the way,
there's all kinds of anti-Semites all over the internet.
And,
it's because he's a right-wing black.
People who have been called conspiracy theorists for the past 5 years have been totally vindicated, and they're still being called conspiracy theorists, saying you guys are wackos, whatever. So, and now we're all like looking at each other when this road to and from Crimea just exploded 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying it's a mystery shrouded in the pipeline. It's a mystery shrouded. Not a mystery to me.
Well, yeah.
We either directly did it,
or we helped the Ukrainians do it.
Yes, or have somebody else.
But that's this whole war, right? It's like the whole war has been a vindication of Putin's view that the West is after him, because there's no way Ukraine would have gotten this far without us propping them up every step of the way. And so, I mean, like, I'm not a big Putin fan personally, but this whole thing where, like, we're all being asked to believe that the scrappy little Ukrainians, whatever, XYZ, like, there's a lot of shadiness on both sides of this. They both suck, and we are heavily, heavily involved. We are basically at war with Russia right now, and if Putin thinks that, he's right, because, you know, what the Ukrainians are doing wouldn't be possible without our weapons, our intelligence, our money, like, all along the road here. Like, so, you know, if Putin's mad about the bridge blowing up or whatever it is, you know, we obviously were involved in that.
Of course.
Just like we're involved with these assassinations of people, and we're involved in everything else over there.
Well, of course, but and also just like 2 years ago, you know, the 57 intel people said that the Hunter Biden story is the Russian intelligence. Like, oh, F you all. By the way, nothing ever happens to these people. It's remarkable. It's more remarkable. They never have to pay for being part of a conspiracy while calling us conspiracy theorists. John Stewart says, no, Morgan says, I'm going to guess pasta, John. That's a cruel thing to say. That's like me having been...
Were you daydreaming about pasta?
No. Wait,
that's what it was. That's what...
Tom is dreaming about... Oh, yeah. Actually, that is very often. I thought he was accusing me of eating pasta. That has not happened. Dreaming about pasta? That is effing true, as a matter of fact. There's a Twitter paid-for ad for this kind of ramen noodle that I get, like, almost emotional about when I see it. Alice is taking a step right now. I get almost emotional about when I see it, because it looks so damn good. Yeah, I never realized. Yeah. So, and nobody wants to hear a fat guy complain about food. But anyway, so I think that people have had enough being pushed around. In this administration It doesn't give you faith in the system. So you're not going to answer the phone when somebody calls.
Yeah, or tell these people anything. Like,
right.
Somebody calls you up and asks you who you're voting for, you wouldn't answer them in the environment where a cop got fired for anonymously donating to Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in a world where PayPal can take $2,500 from you for having the wrong opinion online, like, why would you call up some random number why would you talk to some random number that's calling you up and asking you who you're voting for? And I think we're going to see more of this, honestly. I don't trust these polls that are out right now at all. At all.
No.
I have no faith in them.
No,
because it seems so, and like I've said before, I think Pennsylvania is the most egregious one, where I look at that race and I'm like, I just don't believe that many people want to vote for this guy. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's a mess.
I can't imagine, like, how.
Yeah. No, I mean, he, talk about, like, his entire thing is a fraud. He's a Harvard kid who's been a deadbeat his whole life. It's remarkable how he managed to find these guys. It's like Beto. I mean, these are couch potatoes that are pretending to be something they're not. It's remarkable. And I think Beto's going to lose by double digits. I think that the idea that he's 6 points behind is the guy's a walking joke.
Well,
he's exactly, you weren't around for this, but Generation X was the slacker generation. There was a movie called Slacker. The whole thing, everybody would just sit around and do nothing. Friends was people just hanging out, having coffee and shooting crap. Seinfeld, nothing ever happened. You know? It was the slacker generation. I mean, there were bars when I was growing up in Alston that were meant to be just like Friends. Couches, just shoot the breeze, hey, whatever. And I did it because I was a desperate joiner in my early 20s who was trying to hook up, but there was OK Cola came out, the grunge cola, like we don't give an F. It was like badly marked, because we don't care about marketing. It took $8 million worth of marketing to come up with a way to look like you didn't care about marketing, but which I drank and enjoyed too. But it was pathetic. But that's like the worst of it. These guys are just total deadbeats. It's weird. But yeah, no, I think the polls are just absolutely way off. I think they're off in blue states too. I don't know if they're off enough to make to Massachusetts and Connecticut to make a difference.
Maybe not off enough to make a difference in like the governor's races, but these things are regional in the states, so they might be enough to push some state reps over, some state senators over, things like that, even if governors and senators and stuff don't win in those blue states. I hope for this state a lot, but I'm very worried about the future of Massachusetts. I'm very, very worried about the future of Massachusetts. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try and go to a Jeff Deal event this week.
Oh, good.
There's one Thursday night with Scott Brown and the Diplomats are playing at it, actually.
Go say hi to him and tell him that I want to get him on.
I'm going to. I'll go to Jeff or to Scott.
We can have them both on, but I miss Scott, and I think he'd probably be fun. Maybe he can come down here.
He's a big talk radio guy. Always called into talk radio. Scott Brown.
Well, yeah, but plus we're
friends.
We're kind of, yeah. And he lives close to here, so
he does.
So
that's true.
Yeah, he's a new grandfather too, so he'll want to talk about that.
That's great. Yeah, I still like him, even though I know some
I'm
people
frozen.
Don't. You're frozen? Oh, look at you're frozen.
Or I just
you just don't move.
Catatonic.
We should
change his
You're
camera.
Literally
we should
actually
change his
frozen.
camera so that they can. So I'm looking at you because your camera is right between you and I. Mine is over there. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
We should change it.
Okay.
Should I change it now?
No, I'm not going to change it right now.
Damn.
Just be in the show.
Okay. There is one thing that jumped out at me, and it was during the Jake Tapper State of the Union. This is Jake Tapper. Today's panel was Mia Love, Nina Turner, Scott Jennings, and Bakari Sellers. This was the panel. And at one point they played this audio, and listen how like totally bitchy Jake is, and he demands of everybody else.
Messaging, Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville hit the stage at former President Trump's rally in Nevada last night. And, well, let's just roll the tape.
They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.
Now, just to be clear, they want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. There's no other way to read that sentence, and we've reached out several times to Tuberville's team. There's no other way to read that other than black people want reparations and they do the crime.
Is that what he means by they?
Yeah,
when he keeps saying they want that or they?
There's only one conversation about reparations, and it's for descendants.
And crime. Tommy Tuberville can go to hell. And let me tell you why. The fact is, he made tens of millions of dollars off unpaid black men as a football coach.
What? Unpaid black men as a football coach? Who cares?
I guess
That's
we're
what
talking
football
about
is.
the NCAA. Is that what he was?
He taught. They call it college football, I guess. First of all, but also,
I mean, I
first
do
of all,
think college athletes should be
CNN
paid.
usually bleeps swears out, but they didn't in this case because they wanted to show you the impact of the Republicans saying the swear. They didn't when Trump said bleep hole countries. They ran bleep hole and said it too. I'm going to say it because the president said it. They do it for Democrats. Everything gets bleeped out. It's fine. The Republican, you need to hear it. Second of all, Tuberville is saying that they want reparations because they're committing the crime. Is that what he's saying?
I don't really get what he's saying, to be honest with you.
But
I'd like to hear the full context of it, but I don't really understand what Tommy Tuberville's point is, to be honest.
Now, just to be clear.
And try and get here, or who is going to say my pay?
Shit.
Part of the success.
Senator Tommy Tuberville hit the stage at former President Trump's rally in Nevada last night. And, well, let's just roll the tape.
They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. Bullshit. They are not owed that.
Okay,
just to be clear, they want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that.
I'm looking for this player.
There's no other way to read that.
So it sounds like he's saying that they, Democrats, want reparations because Democrats think that the people doing crime are owed that.
Right.
Okay.
And if he's talking about crime that has to do with black people, then Democrats do feel that reparations are owed.
Yeah, but is he saying that black people are the people doing the crime?
I think he's suggesting that because they don't want reparations for the white criminals, right?
I guess so.
I don't know. It's an inartfully said thing, and it's kind of a jackassery piece. But regardless, oh my goodness, they're so upset. So upset. Jake, same guy who said he never heard somebody say grab them by the pee, and he was in a frat.
Mm-hmm.
That sentence, and we've reached out several times to Tuberville's team. There's no other way to read that other than black people want reparations and they do the crime.
Is that what he means by they?
Yeah.
When he keeps
That is
saying
exactly
they
what
want that, or
there's
they?
only one conversation
exactly
about
what he
reparations,
means.
and it's for
And
descendants.
crime. Tommy Tuberville can go to hell. And let me tell you why. The fact is, he made tens of millions of dollars off unpaid black men as a football coach. He
And white
literally
men,
has the.
How are they missing like obvious points here and going to? So coaching is racism? Is that what we're getting here?
Yeah. I mean, I do actually think that NCAA athletes should be paid.
I think they can be now. I mean,
yeah.
But who can't? NCAA athletes, they make money off of every athlete they can get their hands on.
Right.
Except the girls' teams.
They're just required to have this
That's right.
Title
He
IX.
has. Because people went out there and assumed the risk and incurred the risk of concussions, playing hard and everything. And then for him to give these racist tropes, I mean, it infuriates me.
It's so boring. The racist trope. But there you go. We can find a way to work racist in. Shut the up. I'm so sick of people. Just, God, it's so intellectually lazy. Don't use the word racist and see what you can come up with. Say something else. Racist tropes. This is a guy who's probably, Tuberville, improved the lives of more young black men than anybody in that panel will ever affect in their lives. And white men. And whatever man.
Yeah. Because he's not
But
a racist like that.
This is a large swath of the Republican Party that they have to deal with that they've never done.
Yeah, I mean, the they just flat out, he talking about black people. He should man up and say it. American descendants of slaves do deserve reparations in this country. They absolutely do. But for him to equate a whole group of people.
Well, okay, so now she wants to partly agree with him.
Yeah.
And not dismiss his.
She's right. I do want
vote.
reparations.
That's right.
First.
He was absolutely spot on that. But he was wrong and racist. He was right, but he doesn't know that he was right because he didn't mean it like I mean it.
As being criminal. You know what's criminal? Allowing people to languish in poverty, not supporting policies that will lift people.
No. What's criminal is carjacking somebody or shooting an old lady to death for her book, her money.
No, because his broader point, I believe, from that little clip that we don't really hear the full context here of his broader point, but it seems to me that the broader point that he's getting at is Democrats want reparations, hi Pepper, and Democrats want there to be more crime, which both seem like obvious things.
Right.
And she's agreeing.
People up. That is what's criminal.
By the way, there's a way to talk about crime in this campaign. It's an important issue. A lot of people are worried about it.
It is.
This ain't it.
Well,
There it is.
Well, everybody in the panel just bringing it. Yeah. Just what a bunch of like losers. This is like watching the Alex Trebek Jeopardy, and nobody seems to get it here. The idea is to be interesting, and the idea is to bring up a point that directly speaks to the content that.
Yep, we all agree that was very racist. Yep.
But as a matter of fact, all coaching is racist, and as a matter of fact, we do need reparations. But no, that's not what we're doing.
Objectively speaking, we do have
blacks
crime
are also
problem.
overwhelmingly
we have
victims of crime.
and
Right.
people across.
So maybe that's his point, is that you don't give reparations to people who are killing people who deserve reparations as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, not for nothing, but this is a connection that's drawn by the left as well. The left is big on saying that the prison system is a symptom of systemic racism and the justice system. And specifically, I mean, the left has been drawing the parallel between the prison system and slavery, in quote, like systemic racism for a long time. Like, they go around saying that the justice system is racist. They go around saying that having cops on the street just kills black people, right? They're the ones who are saying that there is some kind of tension between the rights and prosperity of black people and the justice system, right? This is a connection that's drawn by the left. Republicans weren't walking around and saying that, like, you know, that connecting crime and black people or something. It's the left that is saying, like, oh, policing crime is racist, right? They're the ones who are saying that there is some kind of problem with the justice system where if we do something about crime, you're all a bunch of racists who are killing black people, right? So I think that this is more of a response to something the left has been saying than anything else.
Well, right, and that's the exact spirit of Biden. You know, granting pardons to everybody busted for pot infractions. Oh, Friday, it's the same thing, because there is not equity in the color of the people who have gone to jail for pot busts, and so now we said we can start to right the wrongs. Right the wrongs. Wait a second, it was possession of marijuana, and also what we're going to find out is that there were bigger charges which were broomed, and they just gave them the pot charge.
Yeah, they pled down with a pot charge. It wasn't. They're not really in jail for smoking.
No, they
pot.
pistol whipped some 16-year-old, and also had possession of marijuana, and so they busted down the assault charge. Whatever. This happens all the time, but it's like a nod to social justice, and it's just a pander and unhealthy and precisely wrong. But this panel's stupid. But hang on.
The political spectrum are worried about it.
Sure.
And so there's a way to discuss issues that are very serious, and the same.
But
This is a way to talk
true nature
about
came out.
being upset with the police department and saying, listen, we can't defund police. We can't. There's a way to talk about it. And again, it's just when somebody shows you who they are, you have to believe.
But I mean, we have to.
And it's
That's a
unfortunate
creative
that we're
thought I've
sitting
never
here
heard
at
before.
a table
This
in
panel
America
sucks.
today, and we're having this conversation.
But I wish we were having a conversation about early childhood education. I wish we were having a conversation that the reason that a lot.
Jake ran the video of Tommy Tuberville saying something incendiary. So why come you guys can't manage to play that game? That's what we're talking about.
I really want to talk about early childhood education. Okay, well, that's cool. Start your own show and do something with that. I don't know.
And Jake doesn't get it, too, either.
A lot of kids don't perform in school is the fact they go to school hungry. How do we make sure community policing is something that we all embrace? Like my mama and daddy don't want to defund the police, but what they do want to do is have good police. They want to have respectable conversations in the community. They want to make sure that we undergird our community with the resources necessary so that we can drink clean water like in Jackson, Mississippi, so that you don't have inflation and poverty. And those are the conversations about crime we should have, not time.
No. Did Tommy Tuberville, is he the mayor of one of these big Democratic cities?
No. No, of course not. And I mean, that is a real issue.
With kids going to school hungry, or the schools suck, or the water being dirty.
Yeah, I mean, like, lead exposure is a huge, huge problem that damages your brain development in ways that absolutely could lead to you being dumber and having less impulse control and all this stuff, right? And so long-term lead exposure, which you get if you live in some of these cities run by Democrats, like if you live in Flint, Michigan, or if you live in Jackson,
right? And just had a kid.
Just had a quick show started. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here.
If you live in one of these places, and that's the government that you have that's that incompetent and useless, then like you're gonna have problems like that. You're gonna have teachers unions that work against your kids. You're gonna have like corrupt cops and stuff in some of these cities, like, because it starts at the top. If you have bad government through your whole city, and because these Democrat politicians are so entrenched, you know, it gets terrible in these places. I mean, like, you see it in Massachusetts because the Democrats are just like all powerful, right? And like we had this conversation about the what's going on?
Only one headphone is working, but you're coming through both channels. The
bridge conversation that we had last week where Florida fixed the bridge in 3 days, and we were laughing about how our bridge has been not working for like more than 6 months. And it's insane. But anyway, like it just, stuff doesn't work here. And it doesn't work in these places where one party just runs it for decades and decades and nobody ever does anything to hold anyone accountable. You know, we talked about the Melrose thing. The Melrose School Department's like, whoops, $2 million. Like, I mean, I don't know exactly how much their whole city budget is right now, but when we were there, the whole city budget was like $70 million or something, right? Like, that's a lot of money to just be like, whoops, we overspent by $2 million. Like, but when you have one party rule like this and you don't hold your politicians accountable and nobody does anything for decades and decades, you end up with morons and crooks running everything. And that trickles down through your schools, through your police force, through your public infrastructure, like water. I mean, all these things. So it's really like, it matters who you elect to stuff.
Oh,
right?
It totally does. Totally does.
And you know, these places are run like hot garbage. They suck. Places that Democrats run for a long period of time. It's so bad. And, you know, it's incredible that he can say this stuff about the schools and the water in Flint, Michigan, or Jackson, Mississippi, or wherever, and like say that this is systemic racism. Like, Trump didn't do anything to the water in Tommy Tuberville didn't do anything to the water in Jackson, Mississippi. Like, what does that have to do with them? Talk to your politicians, the local people who've been running this, and don't give a crap, even though they're good Democrats and they're going to toe the line about the systemic racism and whatever.
So let me just get to the end of this thing, because Tapper just shows why he sucks at this.
Tommy Tuberville being the racist that he is.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad nobody at this table was defending those comments, because they're pretty indefensible. Thanks one and all for being here. Really good to see all of you.
I'm really glad nobody at this table was defending those comments, because they're really indefensible.
I'm so glad we didn't have a different opinion at the table.
Oh, holy crud, these people. Can you imagine that?
I'm glad we all agree. Thank goodness.
I'm glad nobody had a unique and interesting take. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for agreeing with me. That would suck if somebody...
They're indefensible. Indefensible? Really? You and I did a good job of looking at the issue. You know, indefensible? No. Oh my God. He said things that sounded crass and raw. Oh my goodness. And mentioned reparations, and now we know. We don't have to do any more digging than that. We know what that means. Yep. Just racism. That's it.
Well, and I mean, this is a mean thing to say, I guess, but there is a problem. And like Jake Tapper said, the black community is disproportionately victims of crime. Yes, the black community are disproportionately victims of crimes because the crime is disproportionately happening in the black community, right? And that's for a variety of reasons. Like, we can talk about lead and water and infrastructure and schools and all these things, but that is actually true also. And
yeah, but you know why, Alice, that they're not going to have that conversation.
No, they can't. That's too scary for them.
It's too scary.
You're not allowed to say that.
You're not allowed to have a conversation about the actual items that could result in conclusions that could remedy the problem.
But it's so funny because it's
it has to stop at Tommy Tuberville's a racist. I'm glad that everybody agreed at this table. Good. Let's not take it any further.
It's funny because it's like the same thing happens with the Islamophobia and like terrorism debate that happens, where it's like they'll go, well, actually, did you know that Muslims are disproportionately the victims of terrorist attacks? Like, because Shia and Sunni Muslims kill each other and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're like, actually, Muslims are like more often the victims of terrorism than anyone else on it. But well, yeah, because it's other Muslims doing it. Like, but you're not allowed to notice that part. You can only notice the part that's favorable. It's not like Christian terrorists are blowing up mosques.
But you know, this CNN and Jake Tapper and this group of people, they're such good, caring people. So such good people that Jake Tapper, the people he works with on that floor right there,
right?
They're such good people, and they care so much about the black communities, that they did everything they could to minimize the destruction of the black communities and black businesses, mostly peaceful protests, as there were infernos behind the news. The reporter on the ground, he actually told us, no, it's mostly peaceful. Don't worry. Sure, there were a few. No, it's not what you think. Wait a second. That wasn't Beverly Hills burning. That was the black part of town burning.
Right.
You should be upset. Remember, I think, weren't we all supposed to be upset about Black Wall Street? Wasn't that the terrible thing? We all learned about it. It's a huge thing now.
Now they're literally doing it.
Right. And CNN's covering it in a positive light.
Right. It's incredible. And it's incredible because, like, they just continue to cover, like, the problems that are being caused for the black community by this stuff without ever drawing any connection to anything. And that's one of the reasons I think the Kanye interview with Tucker was so interesting last week. You know, talking about, for example, like how the obesity epidemic and the embrace of obesity by the left is like a war on the black on black people. Like, they're trying to kill black people with bad food, bad diet, like by making them fat and killing them, because being fat will kill you. And just like they're, you know, trying to destroy black people with abortion and trying to kill off black people like every way they can, they're going to kill you with their kindness, right? The left will tell you they're really important anti-racists and therefore reparations, and they want all this stuff for black people, and they're good for black people, and the Republicans are racist, so make sure you don't vote for them. But meanwhile, they're the ones who are giving the black community water full of lead that they can't drink, who are giving the black community terrible food that's making them obese and killing them. They're the ones who are giving the black community the terrible schools that are setting up black kids for failure the rest of their lives. They're the ones who are breaking up the black family by incentivizing, you know, parents to not stay with their kids through the welfare system and destroying like black youth forever. Like, and like we were saying about how, you know, like the people that are trying to be accepting of the obesity, like they actually just are going to kill you. And at some point, it doesn't matter whether their intentions are to be nice or whether their intentions are to kill you, because I think the left is a mix. There are some people on the left who are genuinely well-intentioned and feel like it's like the nice thing to do is to be a liberal, right? But there are also people that just want to kill you, and at some point it doesn't matter because their policies are going to kill you. And you can see that in every Democrat-run city. They're going to destroy your family, destroy your life, destroy your children, and kill you. And that's like what they want. And you can see it happening in the black community right now. And Kanye West said this the other night, which is like why they're so mad at him right now.
You're totally right. It's interesting. But why would I understand the activist class doesn't get upset? But like just looking at the heat the guy took, like why would people not want to properly identify? It's more important, or things just not that bad? Because I would think that things actually are pretty bad. When you've got, you know, 100 people shot in a weekend in Chicago, you think that does make it pretty bad.
Well, I can tell you this. Like, if the crime problems are impacting, like, Glastonbury, Connecticut, then there are a lot of black people who are being impacted by the crime problems that you're not hearing about on the news, too. You know what I mean? Like, because there's that saying, like, when white America gets a cold, black America has a fever or whatever. Like, these things are hitting the people who are in a worse position first and harder. You know, like... We only hear about it when it like leaks into other communities. You know what I mean?
Right,
and like
right.
and like a lot of this stuff has been like happening behind the scenes in the black community, but the left doesn't care, and Democrats don't care because it doesn't fit their narrative and it's not useful to them. The black kids that die in Chicago every weekend aren't useful to them as part of their media narrative, so they don't care. So it's fine with them. It can just go on happening as long as far as they're concerned.
Craven.
It's dark, but it's true. It's dark, but it's true. And I'm like, I'm so sick of this, like, being such a nice person crap. Like, well, you're destroying people's lives. Like, look at it. Look at what's going on in these inner cities in Flint, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi, and Chicago, and all these places, right? And, like, ask yourself if we want all of America to look like that. Not because of the black people, but because of what the left has done to black people and is trying to spread out and do to everybody else too, now that they've, like, consolidated control. And that's why they're afraid of losing that control, because they've had consolidated control of minority communities for so long, and they've destroyed those. Now they want that for everybody else too. And they're worried they're not going to be able to get it. That's, like, what this election is about fundamentally.
Yeah. No, you're totally right about that. Totally right.
Are you going to do some chat before we head over to the Patreon show?
Not enough. There's not enough.
There's not enough there. Wow, nobody.
I know. Come on, guys. Kirk says 5 full, and he gets 80. I mean, fine. His audience is possibly 200,000 times bigger than ours, but still, maybe I should ask Kirk to tell people to leave messages at the chat. Okay, so okay, well, I guess we'll just go to the Patreon thing. There's a story I want to bring up, which is on Burger King. But okay, are you ready? Okay, so I'm gonna hit the no, I should have not to.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait, what are we doing? I'm confused.
I was gonna hit the goodbye music, and then we're gonna do the Patreon only stuff.
Okay, sure, we can do that.
I don't want any trouble with you because you're very.
No,
salty.
I was just looking. Somebody sent a thing. Howie Carr has written about the midterms. So.
Oh, good. Good. So let's see. Should I be reading some more? Larry Elder's a white supremacist. Yep. Let's see. Free college is something. If you're playing for a high-level team, you probably have a full ride. Yeah. I think media is getting... You're right about that. Media is getting dumber. There's no doubt about that. And fortunately, it's not going to get any better. It's funny. Jon Stewart is talking about the state selling marijuana and that people are going to see that they track it from seed to sale, and he's right about that. But the black market in Massachusetts anyway is thriving. Yeah, I did go. I did buy some edibles. A month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. I never took them, but we think I gave them away. Can you not mess with your brother's car? It's not the best time. There are people who pay good money. Good money, Anson. I know.
It hasn't quite been an hour yet. We'll be down soon. Okay.
Anson, look, come here. Look. Oh, damn it, you just missed you.
Why are you calling him back?
Because he was just showing him.
Okay, maybe we can show our kids themselves on camera at a different time.
You wanted to see it.
I mean, all right.
Well, that's very stern. You look lovely, Alice. That's a good looking. Where'd you get that shirt?
I think like Marshalls or something. I don't know.
Are you a Cubs fan? You love your Cubbies?
I mean, not really.
You've been to Wrigleyville with me, right?
I don't know if I have.
Have you not been?
We've never been to Chicago together.
We haven't?
Or no, we have actually. I lied.
Oh, we drove there.
Yeah,
That's right.
we drove there. We didn't fly there.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of, we saw some friends yesterday who live in a leafy. There you go. There you are, Anson. Look.
Okay.
They're in a leafy suburb whose son plays soccer, and they had to play against this team. What was the team called? They had to play against this team. It seems like a nice idea. It's so perfect, though. Called Soccer Without Borders. And essentially, it's people from, like, illegal immigrants, et cetera, the kids, et cetera, or kids from all around the world, whatever they are. So they field this team, but these kids are all like Pelés. and they just destroyed the local team.
And they were saying that some of them look like high schoolers with beards.
Yeah, I think it's great. Couldn't happen to a better time.
But
it's not great because we like our friends and their son is a good guy. Too bad his team got destroyed by some of the finest footballers on the earth. That's how it happens.
Anyway, I have some good stuff for the Patreon show that I want to talk about. So if you're watching on the Patreon stream, just stay there.
Morgan says he called it gray market, not black market. It's C for Coke, Tom. I get it. That's my non-existent cocaine problem, by the way.
Anyway, so if you are watching on the Patreon stream, stay there. Otherwise, now you can hit the exit music, Tom, if you would like to. Otherwise, you can always find us.
And how quickly did we get bullied back into putting the music back in? Bullies.
But I'm not in charge of the music.
They'll come at you too, my little friend.
Well, but I wouldn't.
Kirk has in today.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out once we get out of here. Anyway, so you can always find the show for free at burnbarrelpodcast.com, except for those extra Patreon parts where you can find at patreon.com/burnbarrel. That's also where you can sign up to watch live streams. You can also talk to us on social media at burnbarrelpod on Twitter, facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast, or email us burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com.
2 more hogs got the fever.